Mr. Dirk Schuebel, Your Excellency, welcome to Moldova and welcome home.
Thank you very much.
We are very happy to see you here in Moldova, this time as a special envoy for Eastern Partnership, representing the European External Action Service with a group of over 20 representatives, officials from over 20 EU member states, and that's probably for the first time ever when such an important delegation is visiting the Republic of Moldova. What's your first impression, and what's maybe the first feedback of your colleagues?
Thank you very much, first of all, for inviting me here. First of all, I'm very happy to be back in Moldova. That is my very first impression. It was 5 years ago when I was here the last time, and it was too long, I must admit. And I felt immediately back home in many ways. I met so many old colleagues and friends who all still remembered me and were happy to meet with me, and I was very happy to meet with them. And I didn't come alone, as you rightly mentioned. I came with a big group of representatives from EU member states, all dealing with the Eastern Partnership on sometimes quite high rank. 22 out of 27 member states joined this trip, and the purpose of the visit, to tell you this, was of course, to see how the Eastern Partnership can still be relevant for the Republic of Moldova, and the purpose was to speak to all our interlocutors, seeing whether we can get also new ideas on how to recalibrate the Eastern Partnership for the purposes of the Republic of Moldova. But second, the purpose of the visit is also to show solidarity to the Republic of Moldova in a very difficult moment, because after Ukraine, not everybody knows that Moldova is the second most affected country by Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. And this is to show solidarity, that we appreciate very much that Moldova took on so many Ukrainian refugees, that Moldova faced big problems in the energy sector, which it successfully overcame also with our help, and that there were many other problems related to this. And so this visit is also a sign of solidarity from both the European institutions and the EU member states.
Thank you. Indeed, actually we had our roundtable discussion on April 25th, where all of this delegation had the opportunity to meet also the business community, and we very much appreciated the quality of the discussion, the topics that were raised, the interest that was expressed by all of these high-level officials from the 22 EU member states. And I would like to reiterate on this occasion how pleased also was the business community that there is an interest for Moldova, there is a support which is shown not only by the European Commission but also by each individual country for the Republic of Moldova. There is also interest to invest in the Republic of Moldova and to consider the Republic of Moldova as European partner, business partner, and these were extremely important messages to the business community as a whole. So if to go back to 2014, when the association agreement was signed, and as a component part of it, the deep and comprehensive free trade agreement, actually very much brought a change to the overall economic situation of the Republic of Moldova. First of all, we have an increase of foreign trade, which is over 60% going towards the European Union. In 2022, we have been generously granted the status of the EU candidate country, and now the Republic of Moldova has a very clear commitment to ensure an integration agenda, to implement it, to consider and successfully implement all of the reforms. We have been granted with authorized economic operator status. A lot of money came to Moldova over the crisis to cover the energy crisis and to help the Moldovan citizens to pay their energy bills, despite any kind of political debates. But that was the huge support offered to the Moldovan population. A lot of money went to education, to energy, to renewables, to agriculture sector. What is the perception of the European Union? How is the European Union perceives the Moldova's commitment to implement all of these reforms? And despite the support which is given, what is the interest also of the European Union as a community of 27 member states to consider another state to get into this community as Moldova, which is a developing country?
Thank you very much for your question. I think the most important thing you mentioned already yourself, and the new quality of our relations is proven by the fact that we granted the candidate status to the Republic of Moldova in June 2022. This is a major step forward, of which even 2 years ago nobody could have even dreamed of. It is a sign of appreciation, as I already mentioned, in vis-à-vis the Russian aggression against Ukraine and how you coped with it. But it's also a sign of trust in the future of Moldova, that we believe that the Moldovan government and the Moldovan people will do their utmost to promote reforms, to prepare themselves for the next steps, which is the start of the accession negotiations. There are a number of conditions to be fulfilled. I know that the government is working hard on them, and not only the government, we stand ready to help. And so there's a lot of potential that we see in the Republic of Moldova. Of course, it has always been, since 2007, a neighbor of the European Union, being a neighbor of Romania. And a neighbor is close to us per se. And if the government also performs these steps, if there's this willingness, this interest to promote reforms, to prepare themselves for all the conditions to be fulfilled, to launch the accession negotiations, I think that is the biggest achievement that we have seen. Yes, the association agreement was the first step, and I think also the association agreement with all its components will remain relevant until the accession negotiations will have been finalized, which will take some time, no doubt. But we have the belief that Moldova can make it. And I think that is the biggest present that we can currently make to the Republic of Moldova. And what we have always said remains also valid today. Please help us to help you. So by carrying out the necessary reforms, and the most important reform, I think it's nothing new, reform of the judiciary, which has a big impact also on the business sector. And we heard that in basically all of our meetings that we had over the last 3 days.
Thank you very much, Mr. Schuebel. We can really link already this answer to the second question. Just to mention that probably the business community is the most interested in this reform agenda, because any investor, let it be local investor or a foreign investor, would like to have stability, would like to have predictability, and would like to have the fertile ground for development. Not to necessarily seek other instruments for development, but to create the necessary business climate agenda with all of the reforms working in place, with operational and functional authorities that are providing fair services, digital services, which saves time, saves their money. But the most important is to have stability when it comes to this justice sector, because unfortunately the Republic of Moldova managed to have quite a bad reputation, which has very negatively impacted not only foreign investors but also local investors, because of the bad judiciary, because of biased court decisions. I know that a lot of support is coming from EU and from our EU member states to enhance the justice sector in Moldova. Vetting and pre-vetting is being implemented despite of the sabotage which is created by certain players or stakeholders of the system. What's your perception, and how do you perceive this a little bit slow pace of the judiciary reform in Moldova?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have to agree with you that the reform of the judiciary has been discussed over the last 15 years or so, or even more, as one of the most important areas for reform. However, we also know that there was a system created, unfortunately, in the country, which was difficult to overcome and to put away. There's resistance from within. That is also something that we were told by our interlocutors during our visit. And this resistance is quite fierce, which is the reason for the slow progress. But what is needed is now decisive steps, because it is a unique chance for the Republic of Moldova now to embark on this path of accession. but bold steps are needed, in particular in this sector, which is so visible and so much seen in the European Union and elsewhere in the democratic world. It is often you judge the quality of the governing of a country by the quality of the rule of law, of human rights, of checks and balances that have been created in the country, and of the judiciary, of course. So we stand ready to continue to help. We have helped already a lot because we know how important this reform of the judiciary is for many areas, but also for the business sector, of course. So we know that investors will not come if the judiciary will not properly work and rule and ensure independent ruling according to the law and to nothing else. So that is why we are putting so much attention on this, and it's not by chance that 3 or even 4 conditions of the 9 are basically directly or indirectly linked to the reform of the judiciary. This will be a very decisive point we pay attention to also for our report to be published in the autumn, where we will assess the fulfillment of the 9 conditions of the Republic of Moldova.
Very important message, and indeed that's probably a key and keystone condition of all of the 9, I'm sure. Your Excellency, you know, we are approaching elections in the European Union. The European Parliament will enter into the election stage starting with 2024. On the other side, we have to mention that despite the fact that we have a really very strong political will in the Republic of Moldova to implement reforms, we have a president who is really working very much on improving Moldova's image abroad, and the interest for the Republic of Moldova has tremendously and fantastically increased over the last years. And we have a Prime Minister with a cabinet who is really very dedicated and involved in performing and putting results on the table when we speak about these reforms. However, we should also understand that the reforms do not happen overnight, and a lot of homework is on our side. On the other side, we are of course depending, and we very much count on the support from the European Union. So I have elaborated this question just to make sure and to also explain to our colleagues, to our friends, if you know, the election in the European Union, in the European Parliament, starting with 2024, will somehow affect the you know, integration agenda of the Republic of Moldova into the European Union.
The good news to live in a democracy is that it doesn't depend by whom you are governed, because you can be sure that the laws are respected and that rules and policies are in general followed. Yes, there are nuances, there are some changes here and there, but you can rest assured that also a new European Parliament and new national governments or parliaments will continue to support the path of Moldova as a candidate country that it wants to embark upon. It will ensure that there will be a merit-based assessment, meaning that also any new leadership in the European Union will look at the progress that Moldova has made by its merits and not by any political assessment. So I would not be worried at all. And you know, I like to give always one other example. Belgium, the country in which I lived for many years, when being based in headquarters at the European Union institutions, has been the country that lived for the longest without a government, namely for more than 1.5 years, about 10 years ago. And
the system is working?
May I tell you that we did not notice it?
Oh,
and
wow.
This is the best sign for a functioning democracy, that the democracy works, the democratic institutions work, and of course, in an ideal world, government should be there to promote things and to. But I can tell you that a new leadership in the European Union will not change the course vis-à-vis towards the Republic of Moldova. The support will continue.
Thank you very much. These are very inspiring messages, not only for the business community, but also for the civil society as a whole, for our citizens. Maybe the last, you know, conclusions or the last recommendations. You know, on our side as business community, we understand that as a country, not only as a business community, but as a country, we have to prove and show trust and confidence in these very strong relationship which we have with the European Union now more than ever. Unfortunately, we also have geopolitical risks in the region, and we should not avoid them, because we saw what was the effect on business as a result of this huge aggression from the Russian Federation in its war in Ukraine. So that's why we can understand how important is also the geopolitical risk. On the other hand, we should prove on our side by implementing the reforms, not for ticking the box, but they should really make the country functional and operational. We should improve our justice system, not by ticking the box, but to really see in the system credible people that would like to improve, on one side, the image of the system, on the other side, really be in support of country development and to be as a strong pillar in the democratic Moldova development. And maybe last but not the least, we really need to build those catalyzers for growth and to develop production, processing in the country. All of these are possible only due to very sound and functional reforms and very clear political agenda. If you can really maybe leave some tips or some recommendations, 3-4 most important tips for our government, but also for the business community for the upcoming period, which seems to be extremely busy and intense.
Mm-hmm. I think I have the impression that the government and also the business community is already on the right path in many ways. I think we see a lot of right steps being taken. On the current side. The best proof of this is that we met with civil society and also with the European Business Association, of course, members, and we felt that the criticism was limited of vis-à-vis the government. That's a very good sign, in
Absolutely.
fact. That doesn't mean that they cannot do things better. Of course they can. But the fact to hear that the consultation process on legal plans is working is a very good sign to start with. So my first recommendation is to continue this as a government, to continue to be open to reach out to the population, to ensure the checks and balances. Do be open. I think it's also a very important question for the government to be open. We felt that we got quite honest replies from those counterparts we spoke to in responsible positions, up to the president, where we got honest answers of things that work and of things that perhaps do not work yet so well. And that is important that we know in order to know where we can help, where we have to perhaps get more active than elsewhere. And of course to stay the course, to stand the course. Very important, there will be backlogs, there will be steps back at some moment. Not everything can work perfectly. We discussed about the systemic problems, that there's still some resistance to do the reforms and to eliminate some of the profiteers of the old links, if I may call it like this. So don't give up, continue. We stand by your side. And of course react appropriately also to external threats, and there we are also trying to help you. We have just on Monday decided, by the way, the European Union foreign ministers decided in their meeting on Monday to create a new mission, CSDP mission for Moldova, in order to strengthen the internal security of the Republic of Moldova. That will also be indirectly relevant for the business sector, when cyber threats will be eliminated, when also false propaganda, disinformation can be eliminated that comes so much mainly from Russia, but not only from Russia, in order to really have the correct assessment of the situation. So this, I think, these are the most important points. Honesty, continuous work, checks and balances, and to make sure that the reform process continues fast and without any obstacles.
Thank you so much, Mr. Schuebel. We are very confident, and we really trust that we will be able to develop as a country with European Union, the European Commission support. And the most important is that the chance that was given to us is a unique chance that you have mentioned. So together for greatness.
I wish personally the best of luck to not only the government, because we're not working for a government or against the government, for the people of Moldova who have deserved a better life. And I'm sure that the Republic of Moldova will enter the European Union and ensure this better life for all of its citizens.
Thank
Best
you so
of luck
much.
also for you. For the one more last remark, if I may, I would like to congratulate you personally and the European Business Association. I was so happy to see the little baby born in 2011 has become a teenager, and a very ambitious teenager, I would say, and a very successful teenager with very good school results, if I may use this metaphor. I was very happy to see all the members and to see the successful work that you have invested personally, and also the members of the board, of course, and the team at the EBA. And I wish also you personally and EBA the very best of luck that this teenager becomes adult and becomes even more successful.
Thank you so much. And having such leaders, we will really become bigger, and we will be able to support the business community for the future, because the agenda is growing. So thank you so much.
Thanks to you.